My name is Roger Hoffman. I'm from Point Reyes, California, and this is a 1932 Ford American hot rod designed to run at Bonneville. The story behind the car is that in 1940, a Southern California guy named Jack Kukura, K-U-K-U-R-A, bought the car as a 32 Roadster. He then went off to war, came back in 45. In 46, he started hot rodding it. He put 1946 Ford hubcaps on it, things like that. He ran it at Bonneville that year and every year after that until 1960. So in 1946, he ran with a Ford flathead engine in it, Stromberg carburetors, a standard hot rodder setup back then. He ran 97 miles an hour. And then every year subsequent, he would do more hot rod stuff, lighten the car, go to 3 2s, 2 4s, different carburation. And his times moved up from there. Then in 1956, he put a 454 cubic inch Chrysler Hemi in it with a supercharger built by Don Hampton. And he went 163 miles an hour. And then in 1957, he went 171. And in 1958, he went 183 miles an hour. And then the last time it ran with him, driving with his arm in a cast, because we have home movie footage of it, he ran 200 miles an hour through the first trap at Bonneville. And the way it works there, you have to do a run this way, turn around, come back the other way for it to count. And he declined because he spun after he cleared the trap. So he spun this car at 200 miles an hour. And the way they taught the drivers back then, when you started to spin in that, you don't panic, you floor it, and you let it run out of fuel. Because they ran on nitromethane on very small tanks, not gasoline. And so they generally, a car like this would have enough fuel in it to make a run, the equivalent of 5 miles to warm up to make the traps, and then run out of gas at the end. You kind of counted on that. And so because if you let your foot off the gas on a surface like that, then you roll. So he spun this thing until it basically died out at 200 miles an hour. So he was a better man than me or any of us. And then he kept it until he died in 2005. He was a founding member of the Gear Grinders Car Club in Southern California. He was in Bell, California, which is Bell Helmets, later became a big hot rod thing. And we have a picture of him from 2005, right before he died, with the car. And then other pictures of him, family photos, as a young kid out of the Army, first with the car. So there's a record of all that with the car. And then before he died, he made a several-page handwritten list of everything ever done to the car by him or any of the other 3 people who worked on it for 65 years. Well, the way I ended up with it was, I wasn't looking for a hot rod. I'll tell you the truth, I never believed that there was a car like this that existed, because my interest has always been in original cars. All the other cars I have are just original, unrestored cars of various makes. But on eBay, the car had been listed for maybe 2 hours, and there were over 200 responses to this car. Everyone stunned, no one believed it could exist. And so when I got on there at about the 3rd hour, bidding had ended. So when you see that, you assume, well, somebody with deep pockets saw this and gone, like maybe it's gone to Jay Leno or whatever. And so I assumed that was it, but there was a phone number. And so I called the number, I left a message, and I just said, you know, I saw this amazing car. I know it's gone. I get it. I know there's not another one, but if there was ever anything similar, please give me a call. 10 minutes later, I get a call. And it was the broker. And he said, we've still got the car. And I said, you know, like, how can that even be true? And he said, well, we got such response so fast to the eBay thing, we realized our reserve price was too low, that there was such a demand for the car. So we ended the auction, and we assumed that all these people would call us. And he said, we've been waiting by the phone. Nobody's called. You're the first guy. So I said, how much? And he told me. I said, done. And then we put it on a trailer in New Jersey and brought it to California, where it's back in its home now. It's an adventure ride, you know? It's the way it is right now, it's still set up to run 180, 200 miles an hour on a flat surface. And it has a push-button DeSoto transmission rather than a clutch and a shifter, which was common with a lot of the big horsepower things, because it's a more efficient way to do it. The torque doesn't blow the transmission as easily. And to drive it, because it's set up with so much play to go fast and straight line, it has an enormous turning radius. So it would be not just thrilling, but dangerous to drive around something like this. So I live in a small town in Northern California, and every month I meet with other crazy car guys, and we each bring an interesting car, and we drive 10 minutes to a little coffee place. So I take it there, and I do that. And it's legal. I mean, it has California plates. It's a legal car to drive, but it's illegal with the exhaust, and it has some of the first disc brakes taken from airplanes after the war, Earhart discs. So it has 1946 Earhart disc brakes, which you would think would be a great thing as opposed to a drum brake. But in fact, they were terrible brakes. But people like them because they were discs. So it's like a big deal that they're on there. But when you drive it, the calipers, the pots on it, tend to stick and grab or crack. And so you're in it, you can't hear because it's so noisy. You're moving the steering wheel back and forth to go at all. You're paying a lot of attention, and when you hit the brakes, often the front right will grab and release. So you often, it's as if you're just starting to go along and it feels like some giant grabbed a wheel and yanked you forward. So then you have to punch the brakes to release that. And so, it's good for an old guy because you grow neurons. You know what I mean? The way they tell you, learn a language. It's like learning a language. It's its own language.